all, thank you for coming in this rainy weather here to support people who truly need it. So we are today here for U4U event for people who want to become a sponsor and know more how to do this legally and know more information how to support people who will be arriving. So my first question, do we have people here who do not understand English? So we need to translate it to Ukrainian. Okay. Oh. Good point. Моє вітання, друзі. Чи є у нас тут у залі, хто не розуміє англійської мови, то ми можемо перекладати для вас. Okay, so we need a translator. Who wants to volunteer for a translator? Thank you, Irina. So give me a second for a microphone.
Олю, може вона сяде з ним?
Так, можна пособі сюди.
Okay, може сяде з ним? So I think it's going to be easier for everyone.
So again, thank you for coming. We can start, and a couple words about this project. So we decided to collaborate with the three organizations, which is Ukrainian Community House in Washington State, Ukrainian Association of Washington State, and National Immigrant Health Board. We supported by Welcome US, and we decided that it is very important project to do to help people who really need your support. And again, thank you for being with us. So we can start. Next slide, please. Yes, it's a little bit about our mission. Why we're doing so? The main idea to do this project, to create a toolkit for sponsors. So you will have one place, one Google Drive, so you can find necessary information for people who will be with you for a first couple of days, weeks, or months. And definitely one of the other ideas of this project, it's a build strong community to support Ukrainians. Sure. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, also in our project, we will be doing several events as well. So if you know other people who wants to become a sponsor, please tell about us, and definitely we can see you in the next other events. Next slide. So right now I would like to introduce Oleg Pinda. He is the head of the Ukrainian Community Center. Please welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Ukrainian Community Center, we, as an agency, organized a long time ago, 40 plus years ago. Idea when we organized the center was to provide social services to the new arrived Ukrainians into the Washington State. So we provided social services in a matter as needs for the community been growing. So same, our services been growing, and presently. So anyway, presently we collaborate, as been said, with a 3-hour agency, and the idea is to help get into the US and save lives of Ukrainians from the war zone, from Ukrainians' families. And in order to do that, you all know they have to have sponsors. And idea is widely disseminated. Presently, as of today, more than 175,000 applications being filed, about 120,000 applications being approved, and I believe over 100,000 Ukrainians already in the US. We actually, a few days ago, yesterday, we got a conversation, and because people are worried that President Biden mentioned that it's going to be 100,000 limit. So no, there is no limit so far. Application is open, sponsors could petition, and the idea of our project is to help sponsors navigate the system. So what's going to happen when they file application, how to file application, what I should do the first day when family arrives, what financial obligation falls on my shoulder, how to help families to get with the public assistance, how to help families' children get enrolled into school. So there are tons of the questions, and that's why the idea is to create this tool sheet where people could look what to do, what resources are available, as well as each of our organization will have, we call it sponsor navigator. And there's going to be a phone number where a sponsor could call, or family who arrives could call and ask questions, what bother them, and how to get in touch with the resources. So next slide, because I don't remember what the PowerPoint is about. Oh, okay. So this is a nice quote. It's not my quote. I found it on the internet, but I like what it's there, because idea of our agency when it was created, and the same with the sponsor hub, is information. In US, information is the most valuable source that you have. If you have information, you could succeed in this country. So there's a quote, you know, that Russian Pushkin says that we all learn somehow, somewhere, whatever, right? And Ukrainian Shevchenko says if we would learn properly, we would live with our own mind, in sound mind. So that's, again, I know, do not take responsibility on that picture, just found it on the internet, posted that. So next slide, please. So a little bit about the Ukrainian Center. As I stated, we take holistic approach to provide services to Ukrainians. Since 08, right? We've been registered with USCIS as a Board of Immigration accredited agencies. Presently we have 4 accredited specialists, meaning kind of attorney, we could represent clients, we could sign application, we take responsibility for the application that's been filed. We could represent those clients before immigration services, so basically provide to some extent immigration legal support. However, our immigration legal support is limited because we don't go to the courts, we don't do everything that immigration attorney could do. That's why we partner with immigration attorneys. Another project that we started back in 2013 is behavioral health or mental health services. We have presently 4 mental health counselors where we provide mental health or emotional support, especially now with the new influx of new refugees from the war zone who've been traumatized, who've seen atrocities, war atrocities, death. They surely need mental health support, emotional support, and we are planning to expand this program as well. One of the projects that we're still running is parenting education, because unfortunately the way of parenting back in Ukraine and here is much different. I mean legal is different, because something that's allowable in Ukraine, disciplining children are considering offensive or against law here in the United States. And so it's good to parents know all the details, what they can do, what they can do, and what to do in private with children, and how to behave with children, how to raise, how to discipline. Because very often in our minds, mindset, especially those who are my age or older, communist idea is of raising children is corporal punishment. Unfortunately, in the U.S. it doesn't flow. You have to be really careful with corporal punishment. So that's why we do parenting education. Continue to do social services, information referral to the resources available, and again, Sponsor Hub, our new program that we do as a partners and 3 agencies. So that's been in brief about our agency, what we do and how we do. And the next slide, I guess, is going to be just information. If you want a picture, make a picture, or just write down the phone numbers, email. Feel free to email, and always saying, if you're calling either our agency or myself directly, please leave a message. Unfortunately, so many phone calls, we're not able to answer for every call coming. And again, it's in our Slavic blood that we do not leave messages. We prefer to talk to live persons. Unfortunately, it's not always, we are not always capable to answer every phone call, but if there's a message, usually our policy is within 24 hours, call people back. Okay, thank you.
Dear guests, so if you have any questions, we will have in the end a Q&A session where you can ask all of your questions. So be ready.
This is one very quick one. Will it be shared? This
Yes.
information. Okay.
So
we
that's
don't
why.
need to take pictures.
Yeah, so that's why we collect your emails. So we create a toolkit and all the information will be there. Thank you. So next slide, we would like to introduce Nashi Immigrants Health Board and Tamara to talk.
Thank you and welcome everyone. We appreciate you coming tonight to hear about us and our organizations that will be supporting this work. Our organization is called Nashi Immigrants Health Board, and it started through some projects to support former Soviet Union immigrants and refugees in partnership with the Department of Health. And the opportunity we had to collaborate and work with a lot of different people that cared about this work has been really great. And when the war started, we had just the right energy and ability to be able to come together and be part of this as well because of the background we have and because of the mission and vision of our organization. We are almost at our official 1-year anniversary, and this a health board is something that is an independent organization that is not part of the government, and it supports the people in the community that they serve to be able to link them to the health and social resources that they need, and to build that bridge for them with those resources in terms of creating things in the languages that they need to have, and also to make things culturally relevant and appropriate for people to be able to understand the programming here in the United States. And Olga, who is also has been speaking, is our director of operations, and I am also a nurse and a professor with lots of health knowledge and experience, and I do the health outreach at the organization. We have been growing, and a lot of our programs, I'm not going to go through all of them because we want to have time for you to interact and talk to all of us, but we have really wonderful partners that within our community and outside of our community that have helped us to develop some great tools to try to support our communities to have their children enrolled in school, have their vaccination records translated from Ukrainian into English so that they can be in school. We have mental health support, emotional support programming. We go into the community often, and we have a presence there to be able to support them through being able to enroll in health insurance and bringing those people to them so that they can be able to do that. So please come up if you have questions more specifically about our programs. Okay, thank you. Hope to talk to you afterwards.
And welcome Ukrainian Association of Washington State and Irina.
Okay, last but not least, I think, I am representative of Ukrainian Association of Washington State. How many of you have never heard about this organization before? Okay, only a couple people. That just shows that we're doing a pretty good job with promoting our community in Washington State. We've been here since 1971, mostly working with Ukrainian community to link American community, people who have been born here with heritage through education, social events, some more cultural events. However, since the beginning of war in 2014, we start to focus a lot about humanitarian aid and focusing on the political kind of efforts to support Ukrainian communities, but also support Ukraine from the place that we live. And we still consider Ukraine as our home and America as our home. So we try to be present in both places and try to help Ukraine through the place that we live right now. And especially, can you please next slide? Since the full-scale invasion in February, we focused mostly on humanitarian aid with our biggest project with supporting Ukraine and people in Ukraine, in the war zones, but also people who connected people who recently arrived here and who need our help. Because it's not only legal help needed, not only health needed support, but also cultural support, and also feel like you are coming here and you have people who can help you. For example, I can talk about myself. I've been here for more than 10 years, but when I moved here alone, and the be part of a community, but be accepted to organization like Ukrainian Association in Washington State was really important for me, because you do feel pretty depressed, I think. You do feel homesick, and you need the help, not only financial, not only to navigate the system, but also feel like you've been accepted here and you have people who understand you. So I think that's our kind of goal of our organization, that we want to create this support for people who are here, and this is why we give so much our time and effort to create this community for Ukrainian people, for Ukrainians, but also welcome everybody else. I mean, we do have a lot of people who don't have any Ukrainian heritage, but part of our organization and still enjoying to be with us. So it's kind of short. If you want to know more about us, definitely check our social media. That will be on the next slide. And feel free to email me or email to any of our board members. I think that's it for now, and I can talk with you. If you have more questions, definitely feel free to ask us later.
And the cherry on our cake, we would like to invite to our stage Anna Zetlin. She is law attorney, so probably she will start our Q&A session. So please welcome Anna.
My name is Anna Zetlin. I'm an immigration attorney, and for Ukrainians there are various programs that are available. Here today we're to talk about United for Ukraine, but probably everybody also knows about TPS, temporary protection status for Ukraine, and asylum. Whether or not asylum might be available, that's case-by-case basis for anybody. As for United for Ukraine, about what needed to become a sponsor, I don't know if you would want me to present, if everybody knows the basic qualifications for what's needed to become a sponsor. Please maybe raise your hands. No? Okay. So basically that I can explain for sponsors. You have to be a legal resident, citizen, or have a legal status in the United States. So basically anybody who has asylum, who has already TPS status. And the most important is who has enough means to show that they are USCIS website. So sponsors, when they are applying, they have to upload their, so first of all, they have to create the account as ESCIS. And attorneys, interestingly enough, cannot do it from attorney's account. It has to be from sponsors' individual accounts. And then they fill out the form, which is pretty straightforward form. It's called I-134. And they have to upload their financial information to show that they are willing to provide the sponsorship. Individual organizations, so it has to be individual who sponsors, it cannot be organizations. But organizations can help with providing the supplemental income, supplemental sources. So they can be, organizations can be co-sponsors, but it needs to be the individual who becomes that sponsor. And now who's eligible for U4U? It's anybody who is a citizen of Ukraine and permanently resided in Ukraine until February 11th of this year. So people who left a little bit shortly before the war, as long as they did have the residence in Ukraine, they're still eligible for United for Ukraine. But they have to be outside of the United States to be applied. And so those are basic requirements. If you have any questions, we can open, I guess, the Q&A. Go ahead.
I have a question. Is there any chance for people who, as long as I know you can stay here just only for 2 years, for you, is there any chance to do it more with the years, or to kind of stay longer?
So it's a very good question, but which nobody can answer right now. So because United for Ukraine, it's a very unique program. Before U4U, for any other countries, there existed temporary protection status, TPS, and TPS can be extended. It's usually for like for lots of South American countries, it's been extended for more than 10 years. Some countries are, I believe, are about 20 years on. So if unfortunately, if this war will drag on, then they will be likely extending and reopening TPS. And then people who are here on U4U would be able to apply for TPS at that point.
What do sponsors do? What do they spend their money on for the person?
That's a very good question. So the sponsors, they have to provide the basic initial support for the families. So they have to, and it is on our flyer, so remember correctly, so they have to provide the initial housing. So, and for initial housing, it can be, as was mentioned, maybe for a couple of days, for a couple of months. It depends on each situation. But they have to provide, they have to meet the person and provide that with initial housing. They have to help, sometimes with the help of organization, connect people with resources. So connect people with the schools, help them apply for schools. As of a few weeks ago, anybody who comes on United for Ukraine, they are going to be eligible for employment authorization. They are eligible to work as soon as they enter the United States. So they don't have to wait for the employment authorization to come. So people who are coming, they will have the ability to start looking for a job and hopefully getting jobs to support themselves. They still have to apply for employment authorization, but they don't have to wait until it comes to start working. So the sponsor needs to provide that initial help.
And then what? What about people, are you talking about people that live in a house with the sponsor? Or are you just talking about people that help the sponsors get settled?
So they have to help people get settled.
Yeah.
So, and there's no responsibility, legal responsibility for sponsors to continuously provide for that person. But you cannot, if you're sponsoring somebody, you cannot just meet that person at the airport and say bye-bye. So you have to, at least maybe for a few days, and then help the person find an apartment or arrange somehow for the person to be living somewhere if the person is not residing in sponsor's house.
Well, who pays for the housing for the person? Do they bring their own money or what?
Lots of times they do. Lots of times there are, that would be probably a better question. Not state, they're eligible for medical assistance, for food assistance. So it's definitely, but the sponsor needs to connect them to those services.
So that's when you define sponsor, that's what you just said, right? It's an initial thing, it might last a couple of days or a week, maybe 2 weeks. They stay in your house for that period of time or whatever, and then they're off, and then you just keep in touch with them, I suppose, along the way. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. You just have to help them initially connect with all of those services.
What about semi-permanency? Like if you have a big house, you want to have a family there, you want to have a single person, you can do that too.
Definitely, definitely. And that's great. If people can house people in their houses, it's awesome.
And what about food? You provide their food for them?
So they can apply, as soon as they come, they can apply for food assistance from the state, and they would be basically receiving monthly food assistance.
And transportation, I suppose that's an important part of the process too.
Probably, all it would be to answer those questions better with regards to the services that are people eligible for. But the sponsor is not responsible for long-term financial sponsorship.
Right. Thank you.
What about insurance then? Next question.
So this health insurance, they are eligible for to apply for state health insurance.
Actually federal.
Federal. Thank you.
Federal or state? It's Apple.
It's
Or
Apple Health,
or
yes,
Apple
yes.
it's state.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I could
Okay,
clarify.
Barbara, I
Okay.
Ms.
So-
Tamara can clarify.
Do you have another mic? No. So, in Washington State, we have Apple Health. Everybody knows Apple Health. Apple Health is a big umbrella. Under Apple Health, we have a state Medicaid, we have federal Medicaid, we have private, so we have the full range, right? So new arrivals Ukrainians, by Congress, they've been authorized same benefits as their refugees, meaning they are eligible for federal aid, meaning it's federal Medicaid. If you are older than 65 or disabled, you are eligible for SSI program. You're eligible for federal food stamps. You're eligible for cash assistance. You're eligible for job search programs. And recently, our state opened up a program, rental assistance program, something like that. If you enroll in this program, state would help pay up to 6 months for the rental assistance. So there are tons of different resources right now for new arrivals. And it's been mentioned before by Anna. Recently, Congress passed a law that upon the next day after refugee or under U4U arrive to U.S., they could start work immediately. They still have to apply for employment authorization document, but they could start working immediately. Yes, Tamara.
I just wanted to add, and the unique opportunity of this program that we're having is that we will work with the sponsor, the navigator that Oleg talked about, will work with the sponsor around some of these things where there are barriers to get the insurance signed up, get all of those resources as soon as possible. Our navigators will be knowledgeable around those things. So that would be a really big support system for anyone who is a sponsor.
And another thing to keep in mind is it hasn't been decided yet, but Social Security is work because Congress approved that new arrivals could start working immediately, and under that said that they could provide as a document open Social Security or clean Social Security card. And Social Security Administration, we didn't get any promises yet, but at least we know that they are working on that issue. So most likely they could apply for Social Security in the nearest future and get their Social Security card immediately, which again help with employment greatly. Yes?
I have a question. Like, do I understand correctly, is it United for Ukraine is a program through which an applicant receives temporary protected status?
No. So the person is called into United States. So it's very similar legally, but it's called differently. So there's a TPS, temporary protection status, and there's a parole.
And does parole have any limitations in terms of international travel? Does this person bound to stay in United States?
Yes. So under parole, the person is paroled in, and it's for a one-time entry.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not supposed to be, if you're paroled in, going back and forth. For TPS, if people apply for TPS, they can apply for advanced parole and be able to travel back and forth, but not currently under United for Ukraine.
Okay, I see. Is there one question? My understanding is that as a family reunion is a lengthy process. United for Ukraine, as far as I understand, is a little bit faster. Is there like any legal like limitations with getting, for instance, parents to come here on United for Ukraine and then while they're paroled here applying for a green card or like family reunion status while they're already here on United for Ukraine?
There are no legal limitations, so definitely you can do that, and it is much faster. So the approval, the timing for approval, if sponsor has sufficient income, if there's no additional sponsor, I mean, we've seen approval in the matters of days.
Yeah.
So it's really fast. And then if person is paroled in, then the parent, then you can, or whoever can petition for that person for the family-based application. We see it a lot. People are paroled in, so they enter legally, they're able to do it. The problem is when people were coming from Mexico, some people did not get, they were not paroled in. They were admitted and then placed in immigration proceedings. Those people are not paroled in. And those people cannot then get applications from their children to apply. So it's kind of a little technical difference, but yeah, for anybody who's on United for Ukraine, definitely.
Is there one more question? I'm sorry for taking all the space. But if a person, for instance, has a valid tourist visa for United States, are they eligible to apply through kind of like for being paroled through United for Ukraine?
Where's person right now? Is the person in the United States or abroad?
Abroad.
Abroad, then yes, they're eligible. So there's
Okay.
nothing that prevents them, because it's actually under tourist visa. So if people are planning on staying here for a while, it's much better to enter under United for Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because on tourist visa, you're not supposed to work. The kids are not supposed to go to school. You're not eligible for any of the benefits. So, but there's nothing that precludes people, even who have tourist visa, for applying for and receiving parole under U4U.
Got it. Okay, and my last question, I promise. Are there any limitations for number of people a person can sponsor?
No, as long as you have sufficient income, you can sponsor as many as you want.
Okay, cool.
So the navigator would have knowledge about all of these different applications and all of that sort of thing? And is there a list of our association have of lawyers that help people with this type of thing?
So yes, we have a flyer here and all information about all our organization on the table. So when you go out, please take a flyer and take information, and you have emails and direct contact to the 3 navigators from 3 our organizations. My question to you. So if person come here by parole through the board, is she or he can change for you, or it's necessary, or how it works? Because for parole, she can stay for a year, and for you till for 2 years or till the end of the board.
So, when did the person enter? If they entered before TPS was announced, then they can apply for TPS. If they entered after TPS was announced, then unfortunately no. U4U is specifically for people who are outside of the United States. So we've seen people who try to apply because like either were here before the war and applied for a tourist visa. I mean, on a tourist visa. And then they're applying for U4U, but they have to re-enter the country in order to get STEM. And then they run into issues because we've seen issues at the Mexican border where people were turned back saying that you have to fly into the United States, not enter into a car, even though it's under the regulations, it's suggested that they should fly in. But it's much basically it's harder, it's